I'm Rachel. I'm 47 years old, and in the last 2 years, I've lost over 150 pounds. And today, there's something I don't think people talk about enough when it comes to weight loss, and it's this: food isn't just food, it's social life and it's connection with other people. For most of human history and throughout the world, sharing food and eating together has been one of the main ways we connect with and care for each other. Most of the important moments in life happen around food: family dinners, holidays, birthdays, travel, even work meetings and dating. So, when you're trying to change how you eat for health reasons, you're not just changing your diet, you're also changing how you participate in social life. And that's not easy. In fact, I found that part to be one of the hardest parts of this entire journey because I want both things. I want to be healthy and eat in a way that supports my health, and I want to be included in social activities. But sometimes those two things can feel like they're pulling in two different directions, especially in an age where the food environment has changed so much faster than our bodies, and common food expectations and habits are not necessarily well aligned with the health needs of many people, including those who struggle a lot with their weight. I remember one particular moment pretty clearly. I was at a birthday party with friends. Everyone else was sharing a lovely looking dessert. It was one of those shared moments where the table is laughing, passing plates around. Everything feels very light and easy. And I remember sitting there thinking, I actually want to be a part of this. But I also knew that I wasn't going to have the dessert that time. Not because I didn't like it, not because I was trying to be difficult or no fun, but because I was in a temporary phase where I was being very strict with myself, trying to reset my habits and heal my metabolism. And in that moment, I felt something I don't love admitting, not jealousy exactly, more like a quiet sense of being on the outside of something that felt very normal for everyone else. And I was a bit envious of other people. And I want to be really clear, no one was doing anything wrong. My friends weren't excluding me. Nothing bad was happening. But internally, I had to hold two truths at once. I want connection, and I want to take care of my health. And sometimes those two don't feel well aligned in the moment. And there's another layer to this that I think a lot of people tend to quietly experience. You start noticing how differently different people respond to food. Some people seem to enjoy desserts, snacks, full meals, and it doesn't seem to change anything for them or for their bodies. And I have moments where I feel some frustration about that, not toward them personally, but but just towards the rules being so different for different bodies. And it can be lonely, especially when not everyone else understands or appreciates that. Over time, though, I've had to learn to bring it back to something simpler. Their body is not my body, and my responsibility is not to compare, it's to take care of my own body. Another challenge is when people offer food, and sometimes they'll do so rather insistently. And I don't think that usually comes from a bad place. Most of the time, it's out of love or hospitality, it's care. It's, I made this for you, or you have to try this. But if you're trying to stay consistent with your health goals, it can still feel complicated. Early on, I made the mistake of over explaining in those situations. I would sometimes say things like, I'm doing low carb, I'm fasting, I'm trying to lose weight. And what I learned is that explanations often invite more questions or debates than I actually want in that moment. Now I find it best to keep it polite yet simple, such as, no, thank you, I'm good right now. Or, it looks amazing, but I'm not hungry. Or, I just ate, but thank you. And most of the time, that's enough. One thing I've also learned is that most social pressure is actually very short lived, but the consequences of going off track with my health goals tend to last longer. So I've learned to choose accordingly. I've also learned about the importance of thinking ahead more. If I know I'm going into a social situation that will involve food, I'll often plan a little ahead of time, not rigidly, but just enough to give myself some more flexibility so that I'm not making decisions in the moment under pressure. Sometimes that means adjusting my eating or fasting schedule either before or after to accommodate an event. Sometimes it means choosing more keto friendly foods if they're available at the time that still let me fully participate in a celebration with others. And sometimes it just means giving myself permission to enjoy part of the experience without trying to control everything perfectly. Because I've learned something important. This is not about perfect eating every time, because that won't last for the longer term. And I've burned out on so many diets that way in the past. So it's about long-term consistency and overall sustainability. One thing that has also helped me personally is that medication has reduced the intensity of hunger and what people sometimes call food noise. So in social situations, I don't feel as overwhelmed by cravings as I used to. In this way, the medication helps take some stress and tension out of social eating situations by reducing that inner conflict for me. That makes it easier to both eat normally with others and feel satisfied more quickly and stop when I'm comfortably satisfied rather than keep going until I'm completely full. So instead of feeling like I'm fighting my own body and being miserable the entire time, I leave feeling pretty good now. It also helps, I find, to eat fiber filled veggies and fruit and protein packed foods first, as well as foods high in natural fats before having the more carb heavy foods and desserts. That way, there's less room when the more carb heavy foods come along. One little tip I also learned from Dr. Jason Fung's work too, which I found very valuable, is don't eat naked carbs. That is, naked carbs are those without fiber and fats that help slow down the blood sugar rise. Pairing your carbs instead with fiber, protein, and natural fats will help you feel fuller faster. And steering towards more whole food instead of ultra processed food tends to make that the case anyway. Also, having some delicious fermented foods with a meal where possible, or a spoonful or two of vinegar or lemon and lime juice mixed into water can also help during a higher carb meal by also slowing the rise in blood sugar. These tips can be helpful and valuable during a social eating situation where you might want to indulge a bit more than usual. And that can help you still eat with others and participate fully while still considering your health goals. For me, that combination of strategy and mindset has made social eating feel much more manageable. Over time, I've stopped seeing this as just an either or situation. I'm still learning how to hold both connection with other people, which does naturally include eating with them sometimes, and health based upon my body's needs at the same time. Some days I get it right, some days I don't. But I'm not trying to eliminate social life in order to be healthy, and I'm not trying to abandon my health either in order to fit in socially. I'm just learning how to live somewhere in the middle and find the right balance to keep me both connected with friends and loved ones and healthy. And I think that's what makes this whole journey so interesting because weight loss isn't just about food choices, it's about real life and living in the real world. Next time, I want to talk about how this plays out during travel, holidays, family events, and longer term weight maintenance of weight loss. Because those are the situations where everything you've learned really gets tested. Because real life doesn't happen in perfect conditions, and neither does weight loss. If you've ever struggled with balancing health and social life, I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.